everybody. This is a Lamley showcase, pure and simple showcase. No preview here because many of you already have all 5 of these models in your possession, whether you're from Australia where they showed up first or here in the United States where they hit Walmart's a few weeks ago. They've hit Targets now. Nonetheless, I have not seen them in stores. This set came from Mattel for me to preview for you, so thank you to them. I've had them for a few days. It is time to get to it. It is always exciting to open a new premium set. And I know many of you are huge fans of this premium Fast and Furious. It's just the perfect marriage of Hot Wheels Premium with the Fast and Furious models. It just makes perfect sense. And this is the third segment, 1/4 mile muscle. We have seen what the first segment was all imports, so JDM and Euro. Really, really cool models. The second was the originals, right? I think that's what it was called, or something like that. Cars from the first and second movie, I believe. Maybe just the first. I am not as well versed in the movies as I am in just how cool the cars are. That's always my focus, and that's what we are going to do today. So we're going full muscle with 1/4 mile muscle today in the third segment, and we should just get right to it with number 1. Well, first thing, we got to look at the cards. Hot Wheels Premium, Fast and Furious, 1/4 mile muscle. This is number 1 of 5. And the model is the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. We'll get to the model in just a second. Julian Coyles did the artwork. He does all the artwork for Car Culture and Fast and Furious. I think we have all grown used to how awesome the art is. Always plans a different theme for each segment. Let's take a look at the back, just so you can kind of get a reference if you haven't seen them. There's the 5 models. There's this information if you want it, for those of you who like to use it to find these. Now let's get to the models. 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. I think the first assumption for any Hot Wheels collectors is that this is an existing casting. Hot Wheels has done a ton of Chevelles. This looks like a Hot Wheels Chevelle, but actually this is a brand new casting. Something unique about it. We'll get to into a second. It's the first. Well, we'll just say it right now. It's the first one to premiere in 2 versions in the same segment, as far as I know, at least in the Car Culture era, right, that we've had the same casting. Nonetheless, this is a brand new casting. Now, you might assume that it's based on the 69 Chevelle, but it is definitely not. If you look at all the details, you can see that they are very, very different. I'll try and get these together before I open them up. You can see the 69 has different design cues than the 70 does. I mean, they're obviously different years. You can see that the 70 has a little bit of a rake, but it also has the same size wheels on the front and back. The 69 does not. This one came from the Garage series. Pretty cool casting. There is another 70 Chevelle casting, at least recently, is this one. Really, it's impossible to compare these, right? They are the same car. You can see the windows. If you looked at the windows, you can see it's the same shape. But other than that, there's not much the same there. So there's no reason to try and give a really thorough comparison of those 2 castings. But they did this strictly for Fast and Furious. I'm sure we'll see this again, but it is a beautiful, beautiful model. All right. So this is the first version in red. This very much stock. I don't know if the height is stock, obviously, but the styling is stock. The Chevelle striping on the hood and on the rear. You got details on the front and on the back. Full details, which look fantastic. This will have to probably, for me, take the cake as the best Chevelle casting there is at this point. Although I do like that other 70. We'll just say all the 70 Chevelles. And if you didn't like the red one, hopefully you like this beautiful matte gray version. Same casting. Here's Julian's art. I can't tell if anything in the background is a Fast and Furious reference. It's just a cool looking background, right? It looks like Los Angeles, I would say. But this one in a beautiful dull gray, same details, same wheels, and you're only going to see a car that looks like this if it's part of a series like Fast and Furious. So, like I said, I like the movies, don't get me wrong, but I don't focus more on the cars. And when you get a car that looks like this, doesn't matter where it comes from. I think that is fantastic. So 2 1970 Chevrolet Chevelles in this set. I'm going to say that's the highlight because they are the first, they are the new castings in this. But these next 3, you cannot go wrong. Interesting that the first 2 models were the new castings. That's not what they do with Car Culture. They make those the last castings, like either number 4 or number 5, depending on what's in there. But moving on. I said the Chevelles are the highlight because they're new, but how can you beat this? This is the 1977 Pontiac Firebird TA. Julian's art. Obviously, this is another model that's somewhat stock, but I think the deco is stock. The height, not necessarily, but what a beautiful model. In black with the gold trim. This casting was designed by Jun Amai for Modern Classics. The model that I think makes the most sense to compare it to is this Boulevard. But as nice as this Boulevard is, it just pales in comparison with the Fast and Furious model. This is a series that some people really like. Other people say, oh, muscle doesn't really do it for me. But I hope that you buy these because these models are super, super nice. Number 4. An old classic, the 67 Chevrolet Camaro. I didn't even bring any models to compare it to because it is the 67 Camaro. It is about as iconic and classic a Hot Wheels casting as they come. Julian's art looks great. This one in a more stock version. So if you like the 67 Camaro, this is actually the version with the door handles on it. That is a recent addition to the casting. It's been modified, opening hood and everything else. I don't need to add any 67 Camaros. You guys know what it is. You guys have seen it over and over and over again. There's a gajillion versions of it, and it seems like several castings of the 67 Camaro. Last but not least, the 69 Ford Mustang Boss 302. This is number 5 of 5. This, I have said, is my favorite Hot Wheels Mustang casting. Hopefully you guys don't feel like... I mean, I have been accused of saying everything's my favorite in the past. I get it. I do tend to overuse that term. But I promise you, this casting is my favorite. In fact, I did bring out, before we open it up, I did bring out some of the previous premium, I will say, of the versions of the 69 Ford Mustang. Now, here's what you don't want to get mixed up. I said the 69. We have this one from Hot Wheels Racing of the 69. We have this one from the Kentucky Convention. That beautiful satin, I guess you'd call it gold. And we have the most recent 69 from the Golf Series in Car Culture. I also added this 69 302 Boss from the Super Treasure Hunt from several years ago, which is one mighty fine Super Treasure Hunt. But these 3 in the background, technically I shouldn't include. I have 2 from Vintage Racing and 1 from RLC. Those are actually 1970 Boss 302 Mustangs. The reason being, these Vintage Racing are just so cool. But if you put them together, let's find this one. You can see that among other differences, the grills are different. Well, the grills are different. Embossed Ford on the front grille on the 70, not on the 69. And then you can see the headlights are different on both. So while the silhouettes look very, very similar, try and get this so you can see them. I don't want to try and... While the silhouettes look very, very similar, there are some differences between the 69 and 70, and this one is a proper 69. What I like about it, like I like with all of these Boss castings, is that it is very plain, just plain white with just hood stripes, detailing on the front and back. So this one, Fast and Furious or not, is a very welcome addition to the Boss family. This casting that I just like so, so much. Such a cool model. Well, there you go. A little bit of a take on these castings along with some of their previous releases. The Chevelle obviously is not one that we have seen before. It is a beautiful, somewhat stock, a little bit slam Chevelle, but I don't know how many people complain about its height because with that slight rake and slam and the same size wheels, you can't go wrong. Super, super cool set. Happy to have all 5. I'm going to add them to that bottom row. I like to keep all of the premium car culture / Fast and Furious / Team Transport / some entertainment and put them in there if they look cool, and they definitely have a spot. So let's move on forward. Thanks everybody. More to come. Bye.